Surrounded by monsters and losing power. One decision will determine who survives. Why would their commander risk it all? Evaluating Options by Stephen Meehan.
Is everything in working order?
Fenton leaned against the conference room's doorframe as his gaze tracked from Dyrk to Jarvis. But before either could speak, Fenton ran his hand through his hair.
How about you, Dyrk? Have you secured a source of fuel to keep the reactor running?
Crossing his arms, Dyrk huffed.
Nope, but that's not my job.
Enough, both of you.
Jarvis struck the table and exhaled as he steadied himself. He flipped a switch, and the small screen next to him activated. Jarvis flicked through the camera feeds and sighed as the crews built the wall.
We don't have the luxury of snapping at each other. Contrary to popular myth, we aren't on the brink of ruin. There's time before the reactor runs dry.
Only if those monsters stop their assaults,
Fenton said.
If the assaults continue at this rate, we'll burn through our reserves faster than we can build.
Jarvis deactivated the monitor.
Those recovered expedition archives do more than warn of an endless supply of threats. They catalog what looms over our heads and haunts this world.
all those records do is detail how we are going to die.
Jarvis held Fenton's gaze.
The logs also mention potential friends.
I've read Tarian's entries,
Dyrk said.
but the dwarves and elves don't come across as useful allies.
Jarvis closed his eyes for a moment, drawing a deep breath. With a sigh, he opened them.
Dyrk, do you suppose Diana can locate the resources you'll need to power the ship's reactor?
How should I know?
Dyrk cracked his knuckles with a harumph.
But so far, I'm not sure this rock has anything compatible with this boat.
Fenton walked over and squeezed Dyrk's shoulder.
Why can't you help Diana find fuel for your ship?
I am trying to shield the ship's engines, but I'm not the engineer.
Dyrk swatted Fenton's arm and jerked his chin toward Jarvis.
Despite my string of failures, I am confident we're close to isolating and resolving the cause of the power drain. Couldn't you lend her a hand?
Jarvis tasked me with procuring the raw materials for our defense.
Fenton sat next to Dyrk.
Once we've collected enough, we'll be able to assist her in locating fissionable resources.
I'm dragging Diana off that search.
Jarvis pulled a tablet from the bag beside him and slid it across the table.
I kept this quiet to avoid false hope, but Cecilia believes she's found a local substitute for our reactor, claiming it shares enough similarities with our traditional fuel.
Fenton snatched the pad, and a finger hovered over the text of the findings. When he finished, Fenton shoved the device into Dyrk's grasp.
Couldn't you have shared this intel with us earlier?
Jarvis scoffed and fixed Dyrk with a steady look.
Dyrk, can you tell me the odds of jury-rigging a random substance into viable fuel for this vessel?
Dyrk waved the pad.
I don't have to read the report. I wouldn't want to chance the craft with an arbitrary material we find here.
Jarvis snatched the tablet and forced Dyrk's hand down.
Cecilia understands the makeup of the ship's power source, and she's confirmed these results 3 times. Please examine this information and give me your opinion.
Dyrk tore the device out of Jarvis's grip and read the file.
What are the odds that it'll work?
Fenton asked.
She's the expert.
Jarvis pulled another pad into his chest as his gaze flicked between his people.
The reactor needs a specific material, and while this stuff is close to what we need, there's a possibility that something catastrophic happens.
Fenton gripped the chair's arms as an eye narrowed.
Dyrk, what are the chances this detonates the ship?
Cecilia's research is sound,
Dyrk tossed the pad toward Jarvis, rubbed his chin, and groaned.
but there's a 1 in 4 chance we scatter the reactor across our partial defenses rather than power it.
25% is better than certain failure. We cannot hesitate. Fenton, proceed with Cecilia's substitute.
Tense silence surrounded the trio. After a few moments, Jarvis unclipped his radio and put it on the table before looking at Dyrk.
While the rest focus on our protections, I want you to determine why these function while the ship's comms don't.
Can't we just use these?
Fenton asked as he tapped Jarvis's comm.
The vessel's unit doesn't have any glaring defects,
Jarvis folded his arms across his chest as he grunted.
but that's Dyrk's problem to diagnose. Fenton, when will you all complete the remaining defensive batteries?
The teams I've assigned to that work should finish their construction by tomorrow, if not earlier.
Jarvis glanced toward the monitor.
Have the raids been that detrimental to those efforts?
My crews are doing everything they can,
Fenton pulled a tablet out and slid it over to Jarvis.
but that task is challenging while fighting off invading hordes.
Dyrk's lips curled up.
Are you saying monsters wielding crude weapons are dangerous to us?
Archaic blades are more than capable of killing anyone without protection.
Diana said as she entered the conference room. She nudged Dyrk's shoulder.
It's difficult to focus on work while you're avoiding the incoming flurry of pointy objects.
Diana's correct. though the threat has diminished thanks to the finished defenses.
Jarvis snatched the pad.
However, the job isn't complete yet. If our problems weren't so extreme, I would wait for safe conditions before pushing people into danger. But that's not a luxury we can afford. We need the construction completed before the next assault.
Fenton shook his head as he released a breath.
The crews are building the wall and batteries as fast as they can.
I'm aware of that, Fenton.
Jarvis looked at each of them in turn.
We'll finish our defenses and hold the line. When Cecilia signals readiness, we will use the new substance to fuel our reactor. We won't yield. If this world wants to break us, it'll have to survive our retaliation.
With that, our story concludes. I hope you've enjoyed today's reprieve from your daily grind. If you like the vibe, hit that like button, drop a comment, and subscribe if you haven't already, because every bit helps get this channel spread to those who require a momentary chance to unwind. I'll see you for the next tale, my friends. Thanks for reaching the end of the video. But why not keep the rhythm going? Pick one of the videos on screen and settle in for another moment of escape. And if you haven't yet, hit subscribe and tap the bell to get notified when new tales drop.